Thank you, Mauritian, the president. I'm only the vice president, so he's the boss. I really congratulate IGES and NIES NIS for really initiating this LCSRnet, low CARNet. I think it's needed. I say it's needed because based on our own assessment, there's a wide gap among the countries in their ability to pursue complex studies, complex research, especially in this green growth, low carbon technology sector. So there's just very, very limited ability as we go around the region to do our business. So certainly I think it is very much needed. The question to me, therefore, is whether such a network is needed or not. It's needed, but the question is how to make it work and how to make it successful. We have over the past seen many such networks, and they remain as platform networks, and they remain flat. Don't really go very deeper. So I think this is an opportunity for us to make this differently. At this point in time, I myself in the bank are the job of trying to create ADB a little bit more knowledge institutions and struggling quite a bit on that. In this exercise, a couple of things that I have at this point learned. One, we need to identify really good institutions, not only based on usual geographical or governmental consideration, but really institutions who are really good in this area, wherever they may be. Not necessarily in the country, globally, if that may be required, but definitely in the process we do need to identify the countries. Eventually we do want to build the capacity out there. So we have also felt that it's important to identify center of excellence in the region, and if not, if there aren't, then build one. And we're trying to put in our strategy on how we may be able to do that, creating center of excellence in the countries with the help of the others, and eventually the country on their own. Also found the importance of knowledge hubs. It was mentioned before by our JICA colleague. It is important to be able to go to a hub and find out what they're doing and how they may be able to help us to do certain things, rather than trying to do everything by ourselves. And in the process, there's never enough resources, there's enough staff, and so on. One shortcoming we have seen in this kind of networking exercise, a resource sharing arrangement. If there are a certain amount of money, every institution say, give it to me, I want to do it myself. And that may not be the most appropriate way of doing it. So how do you do this resource sharing? I would to be able to say that I would rather give it to you rather than do it myself because you do it better. That is one thing we are thinking, how we may be able to create that kind of a culture in our own work. The next area which becomes the most important, is identifying joint research topics, work program. Often when we go to an institution and talk, have this kind of dialogue in the process of developing some research topic, every institution and even more, the individuals become so attached to the topic they've been doing for the last 10 years, 20 years. I want to do more of the same, or a little bit more on what I'm doing today. This is where Dr. Pachauri's point that we need to be able to ourselves think differently and change is important. This sometimes becomes a really difficult issue for us. The other thing we've learned is it's important to create a community of practice. Regional, global, somebody I can take a phone call and ask because the person is an expert, rather than having to wait to go to the websites and the consultancy and so on. And there is no substitute to having that kind of a community of practice. We felt that if not, we should develop one. Another area that we're looking at is how to create a really IT-based platform, a social blog, where I can ask a question and hundreds of experts would be able to tell me what they feel about it. Trying to create one within and outside, eventually, that kind of platform. Many of these things are not in place, but they will be soon. And the final point I want to make is on the last point, Dr. Pachauri nicely said about how Japan was able to provide the technology for metro. We will be soon establishing an Asia-Pacific Technology Transfer Center on low-carbon technologies. This is for those companies, countries, institutions who have technologies who they think they would like to share. And the countries, institutions others who would like to have them. Usually that kind of give and take relationship is constrained sometimes because the lack of an honest broker like who can ensure IPR, intellectual property rights, maybe some kind of concessional financing, technology assessment, whether that is the best technology to be promoting. I hope the center would be able to do that. I certainly hope the center would be able to work with IJS, Terry, and many other institutions in future. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Hari. And quite a lot of important points have been raised, which include the importance of resource sharing scheme because we have so many similar knowledge networks and others. And also importance of joint research topics to make networking value added. Lastly, I'd like to ask our new friend, Mr. Sharma. He is the president of Nordic Environmental Finance Corporation. So, Mr. Sharma, please.
Okay, thank you very much. I'd like to thank the organizers for the very kind invitation. And I'd like to thank the panelists. I think the real issue with coming last is that most of the good points have been made very eloquently by my learned colleagues. So I'm not sure if I'll be adding much more that's new, but certainly just to make some comments. First of all, I'd like to commend the platform. I think it's an excellent product. I'd like to make some very brief points, please. Okay, so coming from the background of being a public financial institution, I'll make a very brief comment in regards to resource mobilization. I think that the point has been made by our colleague from JICA about the private sector engagement, and clearly we're not going to achieve a lot without engaging the private sector. But I also believe there's a lot that can be done by public finance to buy down some of the risks, reduce some of the barriers, and clearly one of the barriers is informational. And there's a lot of work that's being done here to try and reduce those sorts of barriers. I think, of course, we do need to look at how public finance can be used most effectively to leverage. And in these straitened times, I think it's quite important that we spend our funds wisely. Of course, we do need to get things up and running. We need to get the Green Climate Fund moving, and we need to push ahead, as has been made evidently clear. We don't have so much time. I think some of the institutions have been working, and ourselves also, in respect of innovative instruments, financial guarantees. I think the issue of green bonds or NAMA bonds even has been raised, and of course more work needs to be done on related issues such as tech transfer and the financial mechanism. I think that in terms of NAMAs, I mentioned NAMAs, and it was good to see in the Rio statement from the heads of government and state that nationally appropriate mitigation actions have a potential role to play. I think that these NAMAs should build on some of the existing structures, policies, institutions and programs, policies, measures that are currently in place, and we've heard about quite a few of these in many of the Asian countries. I think, in essence, a NAMA is effectively a good, sustainable sectoral policy which has MRV components, and I think we need to build awareness of that, and we need to test some of those approaches